I am going to paint a picture for you. The boardroom is tense. The CMO is halfway through the quarterly update when the chair interrupts. So what's our marketing ROI? On the screen, 12 dashboards flash to life. Website traffic, social engagement, media impressions, and campaign attribution models. None of them align, and none of them answer that question. So then the CEO cuts in, sharper this time. Fine. Then tell me this, where can we cut 20% without losing momentum? The CMO hesitates. Right now, there's no system for distinguishing what's essential from what's expendable. The team has been patching together platforms, campaigns, and agencies, but there's no master framework that makes sense of it all. The CFO then flips through the packet with a pen in hand. Why are we spending here? What's the return? Which of these efforts are actually driving revenue? The silence stretches for 7 seconds as the CMO shuffles slides, searching for a chart that doesn't exist. A bead of sweat forms despite the Arctic air conditioning. Across the table, a director glances at his watch. Another taps her pen. The head of sales leans back smirking as if to say, "Told you so." In a room where every other function runs on systems, marketing's lack of one isn't a quirk, it's a liability. It's not that the CMO isn't smart or that the team hasn't been working hard. The problem is more fundamental. Marketing has no operating system. Finance does, IT does, supply chain does, but marketing, it's still duct taping tactics together, hoping the numbers add up. On this week's Spin Sucks podcast episode, we'll discuss why marketing needs an operating system and what that looks like.
If you're a communications pro who works hard, doesn't compromise quality, and gets the job done, welcome home. We'll share our tips, tricks, and stories, and together we will change the face of PR. Spin sucks, but we don't. With the Spin Sucks podcast, here's Gini Dietrich.
Welcome back to the Spin Sucks podcast. I'm Gini Dietrich. Before we get started, I have a little tidbit for you. Did you know that if you can't finish watching right now, you can subscribe to the audio version of this show? We're on all of the platforms where you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Or you can subscribe to our newsletter at spinsucks.com. Just having you imagine that boardroom scene gives me a pit in the bottom of my stomach. I can't actually see you raise your hand if I ask how many of you have been there, but I can imagine it's most of you. It's me, it's you, it's all of us, I'm sure. I remember being on Zoom with an inexperienced know-it-all tech startup founder who did something similar to my team and me. It didn't matter how much data we showed him or how much we could prove the percentage of sales that came from our work. He just didn't believe the numbers. He said to me, "The thing is, you're counting that $2 million contract as having come in through marketing, but I've known their CEO for 10 years. I didn't shoot back what I wanted to say, which was, okay, then why didn't he buy 10 years ago? We had proof that he found, maybe refound the organization through our marketing efforts and ended up buying from a combination of us and sales. But the founder didn't want to give either of us credit because he met him at a conference 10 years ago. The problem is that this scene plays out in boardrooms every day. And even though I could not and still cannot stand that founder, he taught me something very valuable. I had to be ultra prepared for every question that would come up during a meeting. And the only way to do that was with an operating system. Marketing is the only C-suite function managing hundreds of billions in annual spend without an operating system. In the US alone, marketing accounts for more than $550 billion spent every year, ballooning to approximately $1.7 trillion globally. That's bigger than many national budgets and large enough to earn scrutiny from any audit committee. Compare that to other enterprise functions. IT spends roughly $5.6 trillion globally, but every dollar flows through standardized infrastructure and operating systems. Pharmaceutical research and development is worth more than $260 billion worldwide, but it's based on clinical frameworks and regulatory systems that guarantee comparability and accountability. Supply chain spend actually dwarfs both of those, but no one in procurement would dream of running it without an ERP backbone. Most marketing, by contrast, still can run on duct tape, some bubblegum, a jumble of disconnected platforms, dashboards, and agencies that can't deliver a single version of the truth. This is like trying to run your iPhone without iOS. You can download all the apps you want, but without an operating system, none of them talk to each other. Imagine what your phone would be like with that kind of chaos. None of us would use them. Although maybe I should do that with my kid's phone. That's actually not a bad idea. An operating system, though, delivers what leaders need: clarity, control, and confidence. A couple of weeks ago, I recorded Under Embargo with Becca Chambers and Perry Hedrick. Not only was it fun to record, as if three friends were out for drinks and chatting about work, but we also discussed how stressful it is to keep up with all of the things that come at us all of the time. As a side note, when that episode is live, we'll post it on our socials so you can listen. It does feel like every quarter brings a new must-have platform or campaign. AI tools, influencer programs, branded podcasts, the latest social network, executive orders, presidential memorandums. Each one gets bolted on or reacted to, siloed, and handled and measured differently. As you well know, the result is chaos disguised as activity. Campaigns overlap, agencies compete, teams duplicate work. Measurement becomes a tug of war. PR reports impressions, digital reports clicks, and content reports downloads. And still, the board's question lingers. What's the ROI? The CMO feels like they're running in quicksand, working harder, spending more, and still sinking under the weight of disconnected tactics. By the way, remember when we all thought quicksand was one of the world's most worrisome events? Oh, those were the days. Turns out quicksand was not even a sliver of one of the world's most worrisome events. Markets move faster than budgets. Boards are shortening their patience window. The winners won't stack tools, they'll install an operating system. More tools won't fix tool sprawl, systems fix sprawl. Which brings us to the missing piece, the operating system itself. We've talked about marketing's blind spot and why an operating system is non-negotiable. Now, let's move from diagnosis to prescription. Your missing infrastructure, how to shift from chaos to confidence, and a board-ready checklist. The solution is not another platform or dashboard. It's installing the infrastructure that's been missing all along. That is where, surprise, surprise, the PESO model functions as your marketing operating system. It looks simple, which is the point. The best operating systems are. But beneath that simplicity is a discipline that integrates every marketing dollar, every message, every channel into a single unified system. PESO is not another framework. It's the operating system modern marketing has been waiting for. It's been road tested across Fortune level or enterprises and startups alike, and it's taught in universities. It scales, it governs, and it lasts. Think about it. If you have a new AI tool, plug it into your PESO operating system, and it supports the whole system, not just one campaign. If you have a new agency partner, they work inside the same model as everyone else. If you have a new board that demands attribution, the system already connects spend to outcomes, not activity, outcomes. So instead of competing dashboards, you get a single source of truth. Instead of scattered campaigns, you get a system that aligns channels, content, and measurement around business outcomes. And instead of chaos, you get confidence. And in a world where the board demands clarity and the market punishes waste, confidence is your currency. Install PESO as your operating system, and 3 changes happen fast: clarity, efficiency, and attribution. Instead of 12 competing dashboards, you have clarity, one version of the truth. Efficiency follows that, duplication disappears, dollars stretch further, and every channel amplifies the others. That clarity and efficiency unlock what boards care about most, which is revenue attribution. For the first time, marketing spend ties directly to business outcomes. And when algorithms shift, platforms change, or regulators rewrite the rules, the system doesn't crumble because it's a system. It's an operating system. Resilience and governance are built in, so you're not scrambling. You're still steering the boat in the right direction. PESO as your marketing operating system reduces risk while increasing return. It makes marketing not just more efficient, but more defensible. And in today's boardroom, defensible is everything. The cost of waiting is real, right? And it compounds every quarter. So without an operating system, marketing continues to lose budget through redundancies and inefficiencies. Teams create overlapping content. Agencies pull in different directions. Platforms shift and entire campaigns collapse overnight. Consider the retailer that scaled influencer marketing without a framework, without a system, only to face brand safety crises they couldn't track or measure. Or the healthcare company that poured millions of dollars into TikTok advertising just as the algorithm deprioritized branded content. And the financial services firm that ignored looming privacy changes when third-party cookies finally died, their digital performance collapsed. Competitors with a marketing operating system had already diversified channels and adapted without panic. Early adopters of PESO as a marketing operating system are reporting measurable gains. Some see a 30% reduction in redundancies alone. That's not just saved dollars, it's time, it's focus, it's resources, and its capacity redirected toward growth. And the first mover advantage matters. The companies that install a marketing operating system today will reset the performance benchmarks for their industries tomorrow. Everyone else will be scrambling to catch up, explaining to their boards why competitors can show clear attribution and scalable efficiency while they're still shuffling through disconnected dashboards. Delay does not keep you safe. It widens the gap between you and the leaders who had the discipline to act first. If this feels familiar, it should. Before operating systems, well, if you're as old as I am, you will remember that IT was a patchwork of mainframes, terminals, and code that only a handful of specialists could interpret. It was powerful, but it was chaotic, siloed, and impossible to scale. A new piece of software meant months of custom coding. Adding a user meant weeks of setup. Then operating systems arrived. Suddenly, everything connected. Software became usable. Enterprises could scale, standardize, and finally put technology at the center of business strategy. IT went from back office support to boardroom essential. None of us could survive without IT today. Imagine if IT today worked like some marketing does. Every team using different systems, no single way to connect, every CIO answering the board's questions with a jumble of incompatible dashboards. It would be absurd. Actually, we lived it in the early days, but it wasn't absurd then because that's what it was, but now it would be absurd. And yet for marketing, it's business as usual. Like IT in the 90s, the discipline shift happens first and then the tooling follows. Marketing is standing at the same inflection point. Install an operating system and marketing becomes what it was always meant to be, a growth engine with measurable, defensible results. So I promised you a quick checklist to help you prepare for your next board meeting or for the next all hands where marketing gets to report results. So here's what I want you to think about. Do you have the following? Do you have one source of truth for all of your paid, earned, shared, and owned efforts? One dashboard, one set of KPIs, one reporting mechanism. Do you have a quarterly plan that shows how channels interlock? Not siloed calendars, not siloed channels, not siloed teams, but a quarterly plan that shows how everything integrates. Do you have a revenue attribution approach that you've agreed to with the senior leadership team? Do you have governance artifacts, so roles, review cadence, decision rights? Do you have a living kill list for redundant content and tools? In 18 months, there will be two types of CMOs, those running on a marketing system, operating system, and those who are still shuffling dashboards. The good news is you have time to choose which one you'll be. Imagine your next board meeting now. The chair asks about ROI, and you pull up one dashboard, not 12. The CEO asks where to cut, and you know exactly what's driving growth and what isn't. The CFO challenges a line item, and you can show precisely how it connects to revenue. This is not a fantasy. This is not a dream. This is what happens when you run on a marketing operating system. Start with that checklist I just gave you. You can also find it on spinslex.com if you need it in writing so you can refer back to it. Choose one area to fix this quarter and build from there. Because the next time you're in that boardroom, you want to be the one with answers, not excuses. And that, to me, is a dream worth living. If you want to learn more about PESO as your operating system, join us in the SpinSucks community. It's a great place to get advice, brainstorm ideas, and build real relationships with your peers. You can find us at spinsucks.com/spin-sucks-community. That's spinsucks.com/spin-sucks-community. And make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. We're posting tips, how-tos, cheat sheets, and more every week. I'll see you next week.